All right, and we are live. What's up, everyone? Coach David here with Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, and we've, of course, got Professor Muhammad and the man himself, Todd Williams, with Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. So,
welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Todd, I every time I'm down, because my parents live in Monroe, I'm from Monroe, every time I'm down there, I'm like, the school's around here. So I'm looking down. I know it's down one of the side streets. I'm going down Monroe Street. I was like, man, it's around here somewhere. How long have you been in that spot downtown?
July 30th, 2017. Yeah. It's
a long time.
I always say we're 400 yards from General Custer.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's
if
close.
That makes sense.
Are you south of the river or north of the river?
We're going to be south.
South
of the river. Right across from the theater.
Okay.
So
I'm looking on the wrong side.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking on the complete wrong side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the old Saks Furniture Building. It was vacant since, I believe, 1964 when we took over that spot. So my buddy owned the building, and he knew that I moved back in town, and he's like, I was doing privates out of my garage with a few people. He's like, why don't I just, can I build you a spot? Because it was, it's
That's so sick.
And I said, it's pretty easy to make a jiu-jitsu spot. I said, I need some mats, a couple bathrooms, water fountain, and July 30th we opened up.
That's
what
so
year?
Cool.
July 30th, 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. But initially when I moved back home, I didn't know I was going to open the business. I knew I wanted to come back home, and my mom's getting older. I wanted to hang out with family. My kids, were in college and getting older in Florida. And then, of course, I love jiu-jitsu. And then started meeting more and more people, training, and the garage became packed. And then my buddy had that spot, and it kind of all the cards fell together.
So if you don't mind, can we explore a little bit? Because obviously Monroe's your hometown.
Right.
And so, but you're an athlete, man. You're an athlete. You've got some pedigree, obviously an Olympian, and which I don't know if a lot of people know that. So if you could just kind of share what it was like, growing up in Monroe, how you got into running and track,
Right.
and then ended up in Tennessee and Florida, and
shoot, let's see. To take it all the way back, I'm 56 years old. I was born in '69, a long time ago. Parents are from North Carolina. My dad moved up with my mom in the '60s. Dad got a job at Ford. We moved to Monroe from Wyandotte because I was born in Wyandotte, and then at 4 years old we moved to Monroe, and I was just a really, really hyper kid, and I think my mom and dad recognized that right away, and they took me down to the YMCA, and they said, we're going to throw you in the pool. So I started doing age group swimming at the Monroe Y there,
okay.
and started doing age group swimming. My memories as a kid in elementary school was doing 2-a-days, starting at age like 6. So I would do 2-a-days, go to Manor School, come back, do more swimming. And then as swimming evolved, I started getting better in swimming. And then my dad said, hey, let's try wrestling, because again, I had more energy.
Sure.
He's like, man, how can we get the energy out of this kid? So then I started wrestling, probably 7, 8, 9, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 70 pound weight division.
Where were they? Was that through the school?
That was through the Monroe Palestreal Club, which was at that time it was a pretty big wrestling club for the 70s, and pretty tough club. So I was swimming and wrestling at the same time. And then once I got to about 8 or 9, I jumped into the, kind of the main 3 sports on top of swimming. So I was playing basketball, baseball, football, and fell in love with all sports. I wanted to do everything. And as my dad told me from day one, he's like, when I drop you off for practice, make sure that coach remembers your name for doing the right things in practice. So when you get in this car, I know that you worked as hard as you could possibly work. Because he was working hard at Ford, and he made sure I knew that he was working hard at Ford. And, I just fell in love with all the sports. Heading into high school, I wanted to play football. My friends were playing football. I love basketball. But, we can talk about this more as the podcast goes. And I mention this anytime that I get interviewed. It's like I was blessed to have great people around me to kind of guide me in the right directions. And I had a football coach that saw me doing the conditioning drills for running. And he's like, you're doing pretty good in football, but I think you should try, I think you should really try track. And all my buddies were like, man, no, we want you to play, stay with us. And I just decided to run track. And, right away I ran, in 9th grade, I ran 4:32 in the mile.
4:32?
4:32.
4 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yeah, as a freshman.
That's incredible.
Yeah, on cinders at Navarre Field. You know where Navarre is?
Yeah.
The dirt, that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So he
it's like a prison yard.
So Randy Monday, it is like that, like the Jericho Mile. And so Randy was my track coach and football coach. So now he's like, wow, you've just run 4:32, 9:51 for 2 miles. You need to stop football immediately and go. I'm going to hand you off to my next coach.
What was your height and weight in ninth grade?
Probably 130. Probably 5'8", 130, 5'7", 130. At that time, and even as a professional, I was 5'9", 1. I got to my ideal was 139 to 141 because I'm 200 now. So when I ran, I was lean. But again, having great people, I had Coach Randy Monday as a coach. I had my dad as a really good influence. I had a great family that tried to pull me away from the bad decisions.
Sure.
And then I was introduced to my high school coach, Dave Bork, and I always give him props because, again, having things fallen into right places. Dave, my coach, actually ran at a Division I level, and he ran with 2 Olympians at Miami of Ohio. So when I got to Monroe High School, he had this structure of his expectations for our team wasn't just to be part of the team, or he had serious, it was a serious practice. It was like, this is what we do. Our expectations are to be the best in the state. There is no we're just going to show up and do this halfway. And I loved it, because of the swimming background and the wrestling background. I was kind of craving hard work, and I had great coaches to convince me, hey, if you make these decisions, good things can happen.
So let me ask you, where did that come from to get a 4:32 mile and under the 9 and change 2-minute mile? That's very good for being a freshman.
Yeah.
Very good. Obviously, you got people's attention. Looking back, was it you had some type of drive and you weren't necessarily maybe blessed to be a runner, or did you just have a mentality is you're going to go? Where did that come from? Was it both? Was it one or the other?
I think it's being blessed, but also being blessed with the work ethic to recognize, and then having the coaches and a great family to say, from day one, it was hey, when you show up to practice, give it absolutely everything, because if you do give it everything, it's going to give you a better chance to start. So initially it was just it's swimming. It was I'm going to have a better chance to get on the main block, right? I'm going to be able to be on the starting spot on the swim team for 8 and unders, right? So it was already in my brain wiring of okay, if I go there and I train as hard as I possibly can and listen to the coach, then good things can happen. So then when I took that to football, I tried to win every jumping jack, every sprint. I would try to win everything, even if it was practice. So then I wasn't the most talented, but I ended up starting as a wide receiver.
So you asked me before the show. I mean, this is slightly off topic, but I'm gonna tie it back in. You asked me before the show. We were talking about our kids training and my daughters, and so it sounds like your circle, your family, they were. I don't want to say there was heavy pressure, but there were expectations. As you put it. So what was you obviously responded well to that. Yeah. So, do you think that? There's some thoughts where that's you can get such a disgust. Yeah, such a disgust for a sport. For someone
I went through phases in my life. Now that I'm 56, and I lost my dad in 2009 when he was 61, and him and I definitely banged heads. Right. Mm-hmm. I wish he was still alive, because now that I'm older, I'm man, I'm glad he pulled me and did some things to me when I made bad choices. But yeah, I think some people would crack under some things that I was under with. My dad, for example, I tell this story all the time. I came back one time from breaking the state record in a dual meet, right? So my senior year, I come back to the house, I run 9.04 in a dual meet, I break the state record. And my dad's and I'll never forget this, he's sitting at the kitchen table with the Monroe Evening News, reading the sports page, smoking a cig, drinking a Mountain Dew. That's my pops, right? He didn't go to the meet. So I come to the table, and he goes, how'd it go? And I said, it was against Wayne Memorial. I go, I broke the state record.
In the what?
In the 3,200.
Okay.
So 2 miles, 9.04.
Wow. So
my dad, without even looking up, he goes, there's a kid in Ohio faster.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to figure something out.
Oh my gosh.
Todd.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? So then I'm like, okay. So then I improve my time. So I'm like, I'll show you.
So I got to ask you there, because just the other day I was having a conversation with my kids, right? And I have that mentality, to be a competitor and to compete against somebody or to compete in anything, never is enough. And you have to have that never is enough attitude in order to separate yourself more and more and more, and eventually, one day you could become an Olympian or a world champion or whatever it is. So I would like to ask and just get your opinion. Like, your dad sits at the table with you after you break a state record, which is a humongous thing, and you're projecting to improve and getting better and better. When dad says something like that, or coach says something like that, is there a time, like, did your dad ever have a balance of, like, acknowledging, recognizing, saying, hey, you did great? Did your coaches do it? And what type of person on your end accepts that and receives it and says, you know what? Yeah, you're right. The guy's faster. I need to do more. I need to do more. Like, where did that come from, not to let that statement by your father, one of the probably most influential people in your life, to not break you and say he's never satisfied with anything versus saying, you know what, I'm going to beat that guy in Ohio. Or like,
which I did.
So where did it come from? Can you break someone down? Why didn't Todd say, never is enough. Why am I even doing this?
Right. I mean, I thinking back to 1984, 85, 86, I'm sure there was times in my bedroom I was saying some stuff under my breath. Wasn't that happy with it. But also, again, back to my high school coach, Dave Bork. He was that guy. My mom, it was, I don't want to paint it all back, because my dad gave a lot of time and did a lot of great things for the community of Monroe and a lot of kids when he coached baseball and basketball and did a lot of great things. I think for me personally, I looked at it like, I'm going to show you. And he was doing it because he never wanted me to he used the word, don't get complacent. Today's over. If you did that today, let's think about tomorrow.
Which I agree with. I agree with.
Yeah. So, and then I found out later on, that he had every article. He was proud of me, but he just never wanted me to take a step back. He always wanted me to look forward. Right. So that's where, then when I got the full scholarship, well, now you got a full scholarship to the University of Tennessee. Get down there, don't screw this up. I'll never forget that when he dropped me off, my dad would never cry. But that day when I got out of the car to head to the dorm, he barely, gave me a little tap and said, take care of business. And, a tear was coming out, and then he drives down from Knoxville back to Detroit, or Monroe.
What was curiously, and what was your grandfather like?
He passed away at 58.
Okay.
He died on my birthday. Yeah, so 1978.
Okay.
So yeah, he was on my 9th birthday. So that was but I mean, coming from Weaverville, North Carolina, where it was a lot of work.
Yeah,
it was a lot of work. I mean, that's what my dad would. If I didn't take the garbage out, he'd take me to foundry. He would take me to the foundry and say, "Do you want to do this?" Prove a point. Like, is this? Where do you want to be?
If you didn't take the garbage out?
Well, he would. Yeah,
he would legit load you in the car, take it.
If I didn't do certain things that I was supposed to do, he would leave a butter knife. This is a true story. He would leave a butter knife for me to pop the dandelion, so they would get from the root. So like in our yard, I would have to make sure how I said I like clean.
Yeah.
Our yard was the best. So I mean, it was a different time. Like I think it was a different
factory
time.
workers today who work at Ford, like your dad did. I have friends, so I'm speaking about my friends, not just Ford people in general. Some of my friends are spoiled.
Yeah.
They work at Ford and Chrysler, and they're spoiled, and they're like, I don't feel like working, get my union rep.
Yeah.
But when you're back in
60s, 70s, yeah.
It's a different.
It was a grind.
Yeah.
It was a physical grind. So I could see that your dad
he
made sure you appreciated what hard work is.
Yeah, and then again, like I said, on the positive side, my dad coached basketball. He coached our 8th grade AAU team had 6 future NBA players on it. Antoine Joubert. We knew Antoine Joubert. He was Mr. Michigan in '83. We had Mark Macon, who played for the Pistons he was from Saginaw Buena Vista. So I was exposed. Mike Poplawski went to Michigan State, played for the Sacramento Kings. We were all on an AAU team together. So he brought greatness in other sports and coached them, and I was part of those teams. So I was exposed to high level. So my expectations were always I just don't want to be a varsity guy on the team. I want to try to be a state champ. I want to try to get a full scholar. So that was just the expectations from a young age. So I didn't look at anything like that was out of my reach.
Can you build that today? Like you were looking back, like it's easy to say that, Coach Todd was around like those future NBA players and he was around your coaches were Olympians.
My coach he ran with Olympians, so he brought that mindset.
Yeah, so it's easy to say that, he was around all of these people and it nurtured him, but like today in jiu-jitsu, for example, can you build that? Like, because you and you've had many like Hall of Famers come into your gym. So you've been around that. Your students have been around that. Can you build that today with the clientele, the temperament, personality of people today? Is that possible?
I think what you can build is a lot of times I'll do a speech if I get invited to speak at kids camps or running camps or whatever. And when I speak, everybody has their own gold medal, right? So I never won a gold medal. I finished 10th, right? And I finished 6th at the World Championships. That was the highest I ever, and some people say, they'll say, sorry. And I'm like, what do you mean sorry?
Yeah.
But what I mean by what's your own gold medal, everybody in here, everybody out there, all of our students, if they push themselves to their absolute max and they truly look in the mirror and say, I did everything I could possibly do, then that's their gold medal. So I think us as coaches, us as influencers, I think that's the mentality you have to push. Not everybody's going to make the Olympics. Like I'm in the process of creating a wall at my high school for NFL, Olympians, professional box, Bronco McCart. So I did all the history. In the history of Monroe High School, there's 6 of us in the history that ever made it to the highest level. So we had 3 NFL players, 1 Major League Soccer player, 1 professional boxer that made it to the World Championship, top 10 rank, and then I made 2 Olympics. So not everybody's going to get to that wall, but what they can do is they can maximize their abilities.
It's a good way to articulate it it's achievable for the
it's what's your gold medal? Are you going to be able to look in a mirror and say, I did, my 6th
Tried
place,
my best.
My 6th place in Stuttgart, Germany at the World Championships was my gold medal. I dove across the line for 6th. 10th in the Olympic Games in Barcelona. I dove across to beat Paul Evans from Great Britain to get 10th. And you would have thought that I was diving for the gold, but I was humping it to that, leaning my chest across the line. Paul probably thought I was a nut because I'm diving for a 10th. But, but I think that's what we have to pass on, that excitement. I think when I go to Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, when I put on an event, when I try to help my students, our Monroe Jiu-Jitsu students, I want them to be pumped.
On that, because I was following you on Facebook. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, but I was checking out your Instagram. Can you explain to me what this battle for the blue belt? I love this, any type of this concept. Like, can you explain this?
I was down in Nashville?
Yeah, this was...
that was in Nashville.
In Perfectus Jiu-Jitsu?
So Perfectus Jiu-Jitsu, my buddy Jeremy Aiken owns that school in downtown Nashville, and he's got he has 7 affiliates in the Nashville metropolitan area now. So what they do is once a year, they bring in, and I love Jeremy, but I don't know if I would do this because anyone is allowed. If you're a white belt, for example, I'll give you an example. Audie Cole was the professional football player at my school. So Audie played for the Minnesota Vikings. He lived in Nashville. I go to Nashville maybe 6 years ago. Audie retired from the NFL. I said, Audie, man, you should try jiu-jitsu, man. You're an amazing athlete.
Sure, yeah.
Big guy. I said,
imagine he's in your white belt bracket.
But here's the thing, though. Audie, back to the battle of the blue belt. So Audie starts hammering, right? He's athletic, strong. And 2 months into his jiu-jitsu journey, it's battle for the blue belt day. Audie gets to go.
What is the premise is it any white belt can go against a...
No, any white belt goes against another white belt in their bracket. Right, so he sets
in the affiliation.
In the affiliation.
Salo used to do
this. So anyone, but Audie is an NFL football player.
What's the size in
at that time? I think 6'3"ish, 6'4", 230-ish. But he's a rock.
Yeah.
But and when you put that type of athlete with no technique, and he's a white belt with maybe an outside trip or something or a double leg. He's picturing a Detroit Lion in front of him. He's going to tackle you and get 2 points.
So
he gets his blue belt. So Audie got his blue belt.
So it's white versus white.
White versus white. The winner of that division.
There's issues with that that type of promote. Case in point, right? Like, so there needs to be like a reality test. Who is it? Lackland does that too. I don't understand, but Lackland, I think it's if you want to contest it. Like, let's say you do belt promotions and you give out blues, and I'm like, oh, well, I deserve my blue. I think Lackland's is okay. Then you can beat every blue belt in the school then, and I'll give you your blue. I don't know. I don't know. Like I've seen it, but I don't understand how. Personally, I like the idea of having a fight for you. I mean, you go to wrestle, you wrestle up every week, right? Like, let's see who wants to represent the school this week. So I like that concept. But I mean, you want to talk? We talked about pre-show. We were talking about like running the school is different than training in a school. Running, owning a shoe store is different than running. Right. Like, you want to talk about bad for business? Like, make everyone compete for their blue to get any type of promotion. Like, that's a tough sell.
We could have a 24-hour podcast on belt promotions and how people promote and different schools promote, because it's so different from one academy to the next academy. I think it's a cool concept because it catches like people. I battle the blue belt. They put spotlights on it.
Yeah, it was
the white belts
sick.
Are coming out light, spotlights, music. They get to pick their walkout song. They're nervous.
Oh, it's a legit event for your blue belt.
They got open bar. I mean, it's like a whole concept.
An open bar.
Yeah.
It's like a tournament.
It's more intense because the whole mat is like everybody's on top of you.
I'm gonna punch it on the screen for you, Mo, so you can see what we're talking about. Our viewers, I've got it on their screen too.
Before I started jiu-jitsu,
they got a smooth
playing in Gus Macker's basketball tournaments and flag football tournaments. And I remember I played against a off-season NFL tight end for the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. And I, at the time, was basically our center, so I'm always guarding the big guy.
Right.
And there was nobody I've ever faced leading up to that point, even college players, that could really bully me in the middle.
Right.
I always guarded the big guy. And when I played against him, he was a football player, and basketball wasn't his thing. But the base and the foundation and the strength that this guy has was like nothing I've ever done before.
You're like it's like trying to move oxen.
It was like an NFL athlete is just a whole nother caliber of a player.
Right.
So I can imagine.
Even if you get D1, you get a D1 football player, right? Like they're just, but these guys are, it's the size and the strength and the size of their forearm. Or their neck or anything else, like, I might be able to get my hand around your wrist.
Athleticism, movements, timing, everything is just like crazy. Like,
with Audie, I like in his first day on the mat. This was in Perfectus, was in Brentwood, Tennessee, but got him on the mat, gets his gi. I went deep half. Of course, I could get the deep half on him, right? So I got the deep half and I did sweep him. But then after I rolled and I tapped him, I'm like, I said, that's all you'll get from me.
Smart.
All right. Have a great day.
Journey has begun, right? And because that's what I do with a lot of these guys. Top. You can tell when they come to the gym. I'll give them one if they've never trained before.
That's
and
funny.
Then after that, I'll go.
Okay.
All right.
Now you go roll with the other guys.
Yeah. Good. Keep training, and you're going to be really good if you keep.
Well, that's really funny, but that's a cool event.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's a really cool event. So another question we have. I mean, you kind of answered the portion of Olympian, and I think that's so cool. I was checking out the wall, the Why Not You wall at Monroe High. That's super cool because I think that's Monroe. I mean, it's not the smallest town, but it's certainly a small town.
It's the same population as it was in 1970.
Really? What is the population?
A little bit right at 20,000.
Oh, that's significantly small.
The city of Monroe,
not the
county.
No, yeah. That's significantly smaller than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just think of downtown. It's cool downtown,
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a fraction of even Southgate. Southgate's got what, 75,000? And then you're surrounded by Taylor and Wyandotte,
Yeah.
Oh, that is tiny then.
Yeah.
That's small.
And the county, I think we're maybe at 175,000 in the county, but the city itself, a little bit over 20,000.
Wow.
So, do you see any interesting parallels between competing in track and now coaching or training in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, and the grind of it, because people ask that all the time, like, why did you go from like professional running? After I finished at University of Tennessee, I was fortunate to land a contract with Adidas. I got to go to live in London for some summers to travel
sick.
and compete all over the place, all
Wow.
over the world. And but once I retired from professional running in 2002, I wrestled as a kid. I knew I needed to stay active, so I jumped right into jiu-jitsu, and I fell in love
How'd
with
you find in 2002?
2002-ish,
Where
yeah.
where'd you find jiu-jitsu? How'd you get started?
So the funny thing is I initially, because I had to be so disciplined with my weight, and every calorie I tracked, and everything. And so I told myself
As
when
a
I retired-
runner.
As a runner.
Yeah.
So when I retired, I go, I'm just going to become like a bodybuilder. I'm going to just get big and go to the weight room, just start racking the weights. And I'm driving. It was like 2 weeks into this, and I'm driving across from my house in Knoxville. I still lived in Knoxville at the time. And I was at this red light, and I look over to the right, and it said Progressive Martial Arts Gracie Baja Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, sick.
And I'm like, you know what? I wrestled as a kid. I watched UFC stuff. I said, I'm going to go give it see if it's open, afternoon class.
Yeah.
So I drive over, and Soneca's a pretty big name, and Elio Soneca Marrero is like sitting there, a little guy, about 5'7", 155, ears this blowing, and he's like, nobody was there. Nobody was really training jiu-jitsu
Sure.
back
Yeah,
then.
2002 it was.
Yeah, he's like, you try? And I said, yeah. He goes, you ever, he's Portuguese, it's kind of broken. I said, I'll give it a try. So he's the one that really got me to love jiu-jitsu in that one day. Like, he dominated me so nice. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
he was so nice, just beat me up. I was like, man, I gotta figure this out.
There's something about like when someone is very obviously dominating you without effort. When you're like, there's something to it. Like, and they're almost bored with it,
Yeah.
and they I felt that way with Hanato. Like, I threw, he and I, super cool dude, and like just probably one of my favorite grapplers. Like, just he's funny too. Like, he's really funny, and
Vegan, by the way.
he vegan?
Or vegan or vegetarian? Yeah, he doesn't eat meat.
He was 3 steps ahead of me the entire way.
Yeah.
Like, I was almost like, I completely felt like a white
Yeah.
belt. I'm like, why am I even trying? Like, at this point, I'm not gonna move, because anything I do, he's gonna use it. Like why am I trying any of this? Like, it's
Right.
not working.
Right.
And that is jiu-jitsu. And people, I think they have this misconception. They think it's not as effective as it truly is.
100%.
I'm just like, all right, well, it's a superpower, like that's because you can't. I was talking with a gentleman. He trains police departments and things. You want to talk about, and they traditionally, like, I think he was for Inkster or something, and it was the old, like, control them by beating them to a pulp. I was like, well, now there's there's extreme liability to a police department. I mean, with body cams and the whole nine and the overuse of force. Like, jiu-jitsu is, I don't know how it's not. I don't know how it's not mandatory for all the departments.
And that's in Monroe. Like, my school sits right across the street from Monroe County Sheriff, and the under sheriff is Joe Hammond, who is one of my a student of Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. So I've worked with Monroe Police Department, which one of my best friends was the former, so it's small town, right?
Sure.
So I started working. I formed some partnerships with those guys over the last 4 years, and again, just using the Kimura, I've had 7 endorsements where they use the Kimura on the job. That's helped them.
The handcuff.
Just,
I'm assuming.
one was a suicide at Rosterfield. Somebody was going for their pocket. Boom, kept it away. Right, just something maybe not. But it's 7 examples, and to me, that's enough right there.
Yeah.
To make the department go, oh, let's continue this. And then, of course, with my friend that was a blue belt college teammate, Paul Butterfield, he was killed in the line of duty in 2013. So
In Monroe?
No, he was killed in Petoskey. Up there. So when I started Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, I started the Paul Butterfield Law Enforcement Program, where all officers from anywhere can train for free, forever.
You still do that?
I still do that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
anybody can come, any agency.
That's fantastic.
It's all in honor of Paul. And right now we have 19 active law enforcement from state, federal, county, city agencies that are training at Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah.
Well, and
That's awesome.
I know Brownstown, Tyler over at Brownstown, like they've been running they've been doing training over there, and they just made the news because they got stabbed. They have data now, and it was something like, I'm gonna just broad brush, half, right? Like, everything was cut in half as far as like overuse charges or allegations, cut in half. Injuries to suspects, cut in half. Injuries to officers, cut in half. Like just, and I think it's
Yeah.
couple years, like not very long, 2 years maybe is
Yeah.
when they've been
Well,
tracking.
I
it.
think and over the time that I've been teaching, helping instruction with the law enforcement, is what's become successful is just like we talked about in front of the screen. So what I'll do is like, I don't know if I made the name up, I don't know, it's probably out there. So scenario-based training. So what I'll do is I'll show a video of a scenario where an officer is in some type of confrontation.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they can watch it, and then I'll say, here's some things how jiu-jitsu can help you in that scenario.
Very,
So for
very,
the next,
very simple.
yeah, the next half hour, then we're going to do 4 scenarios in this 2-hour block, or if we're doing a 4-hour block.
For the class or the law enforcement?
For just when we do the law enforcement only, because
Okay.
one time a year we'll just do law enforcement only. So I'll set that block aside. Now that's going to be a different agreement than just the free training, because that's going to be privates. But I just, officers have to see something in my mind where they look up and they see this guy in a fight.
So you're taking scenario based, like literally footage of an officer
Right.
and someone else, and
Right.
yeah.
See,
That
and
makes
that's like
sense.
that way the officer goes, okay,
I've
I
been
don't
there
have to
before. I know that
I don't have
position.
to put on a gi. This is real. And like for example, there was an officer from the county sheriff, Monroe County Sheriff, about 7-8 months ago, goes out middle of the afternoon but I think it was out in Ida, in that area, out in the country. Maybe I'm wrong. It might not be Ida, but out away from Monroe a little bit. As soon as he gets out of his vehicle, a guy starts going at him. Right, so. The guy tries to tackle him. He puts his arm in front of his face, and the guy, tries to take a chunk out of the arm, pulls the arm out. The guy backs up. Officer pulls the gun and kills him.
Yeah.
So going over a scenario like that, like how important it is to potentially to go to the back position,
Yeah.
pull them to their side so they can no longer see you anymore. Hit a Kimura trap, pop the wrist behind their back. Now we're doing 3 movements based on that one scenario, and all the officers are zoned in because one of their brothers had just had to use a firearm to kill someone.
Yeah.
So now we're breaking down that technique.
Yeah, and I know that there's a whole nother discussion for that, but like in that example, it's legal and it's just lethal force is justifiable in that instance. But you and I both know that by showing a simple move, you don't have to kill somebody. You can easily control them, get them to the floor
Right.
or whatever. But if they happen to pull the trigger and shoot somebody, they're not in trouble.
Right.
And a little bit of jiu-jitsu can go such a long way in self-defense or for the police force. And it's for me, it's sad that there has to be so much bureaucracy and why or why not all law enforcements across the country don't make it 100% mandatory for them to train. And in my personal experience, most of the time, it's because they're lazy.
Yeah. Well, and I
The
think
police
too-
officers are lazy.
Yeah, I think it's, and I think the general population. Like when you think about the reality is how many people in the world train jiu-jitsu? Less
Yeah.
than 1%.
Yeah, you posted.
remember? Didn't I
You're
post
like
it?
you're like 1%. I was like, that sounds high.
Right. Yeah. It's like so, and not just long. I think just across the board, people don't want to train jiu-jitsu because it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Right. And even when you think about law enforcement training, I think it's extremely important, but it's not, the 4-hour block isn't enough.
Yeah,
You've got
definitely
to
not.
continue you've got to, I tell these officers, come on, just being physical, getting used to grabbed on, getting pulled, getting cross-faced, getting cracked, that.
It doesn't feel good.
Right.
Yeah, and the younger ones tend to train more. Like he was talking about someone who trains at Brownstown. If they're in their like early 20s to like up to mid 30s, those guys feel like they have the youth, or they might have what they think is a physical capacity to train. But once they get over that age, it's like, it's
Yeah.
too hard. I don't feel like it. I'm already out of shape.
Yeah.
So not everybody, I would say, falls into the lazy category,
Yeah.
but it's just like
Yeah.
the younger they are, the more they feel like I could do this jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
which people think is so hard.
And that's where I think if it could be more, I guess the presentation of it could be more scenario based, where when the officers walk in the door, they look up on a screen and they say, today we're doing scenario 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Here's scenario 1. And it's real.
So-
Because it's not
It's like position training.
It wouldn't be like, I'm going to show you a scissor sweep on the screen from Solo, because
Yeah.
then they're looking in the gi, and a lot of these guys, but if you see an officer in a fight and he could have clinched with a backdrop, they're going to go, okay, now I
That
can
makes
see-
sense.
yeah, you know what I mean? So that's where I think, and some agencies do that around the country, but not enough of them do it, where it's like, we're going to show this, and this is what we're going to do for the next 4 hours. Instead of a whole bunch of stuff where they walk out going, I'm not going back to that until next year.
There's of course the technical benefits of how to control it. I mean, whether it's legal to it's to use deadly force. I mean, that's a life-changing event for that officer.
No matter what.
Like, so
Even in that scenario, it was he had to do it.
Right.
But
had
like
no other- he had no
for
other-
the rest of it, that's tough. So that's reason, again, in that scenario, it was justified, no problem. But again, maybe with jiu-jitsu training, it could have been a different outcome, so he doesn't have to have that up here for the rest of his life.
I was talking to Tyler as well, and just even the approach, right? How he approaches and this is his testament, because remember when he came in to the gym?
Yeah, I talked to him.
You were talking to him. I was laying down flooring, and he didn't take the class. He just sat and just watched, like, with a real judgmental kind of piercing view. Because like a week or two prior, he had gotten stuck in bottom side control. He didn't know that's what it was called, but he had gotten stuck in bottom side control, and he couldn't get out, and he was spooked. And
Well, David, what he said was, I don't know if he approached you or me first, but he walked in. He's like, I got in an altercation on the street. Somebody got on top of me. He went to grab my gun. And eventually I got my gun away from him. I could have shot and killed him. I didn't. He says, but what scared me the most is I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was his experience, and then he was watching it, I think, to see if it checked out, right? So he signed up, and then fast forward 2 or 3 years, he was saying, even just how I approach, he's like, I don't like the comfort level of even proximity. He knows where the danger zone is or is not. Being touched, whereas before, if anyone touched him in any, he would freak out. And he's like, guys, listen, we don't It was just a much more calm, I don't want this, you don't want this. Let's handle this the nice way.
That's how
Whereas
jiu-jitsu
before he would show up he would have to put off an aggressive and intense and a bold, authoritarian response, because if that didn't work and scare them, he had no other tools.
Right.
So it's almost like this false kind of bravado, false bravado with it. I want to change gears a little bit.
Yeah, let's get back to Mr. Todd.
Can you tell us about your collaboration with Black Swan Wrestling?
Black Swan. So one of Monroe Jiu-Jitsu students, David Wickenheiser, he's good friends with the wrestling coach, Nick Eby from St. Mary's Catholic Central.
Oh, yeah.
And so
great
Nick
program.
is a student at Monroe Jiu-Jitsu as well. And was it maybe has it been 2 years? So Health Matters was a nutrition store right next to our gym.
That little place right next door?
Yeah, Health Matters.
Yeah.
And so she decided to sell, and she decided this after a long time being there, she decided to sell her small business and leave. And David Wickenheiser had the idea with Nick to, hey, let's start a local wrestling club, and we could connect it to Monroe Jiu-Jitsu.
Sick.
And so once they got that rolling, I had a bathroom. So my bathroom used to be right in the way of where some of the mats were going to be next door. And so I told David, I said, since he bought the space, I said, I'm going to go ahead and give you my bathroom, but can we partner? So when I need that space, he goes, oh yeah. So
Sick.
he jackhammered my bathroom out. So when I open the door by my desk, there's Black Swan. Mm-hmm. So anytime, it works out beautiful, because what I've done now is any jiu-jitsu kid that signs up, I pay that price also pays for wrestling.
That's so cool.
Because I want them to wrestle. So
Is it season? Is Black Swan's during the wrestling season, or is
it's
that
going to be
year-round?
more intense during wrestling season? So it's starting to pick up more opportunities during the wrestling season. But it's year round, at least twice a week. So if a kid signs up and they want to be a grappler, they would go Monday jiu-jitsu, Tuesday wrestling, Wednesday jiu-jitsu, Thursday wrestling, Friday situational kids. So you get 5 opportunities to get after it.
I think, man.
Yeah, so that's...
This isn't... This. I mean, I think if I had to choose for kids ideally both jiu-jitsu. I think as far as a practical, I'd almost lean towards wrestling. As far as kids to protect themselves against bullying or whatever. You see these, and they seem to pick it up faster than jiu-jitsu because the movements are less complex.
Yeah.
and they, especially young boys, like if you're like, grab their legs and start running. Like they can look
Right.
up and start running.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier than
What's your
a
opinion on that? If you had to
kimura.
pick one for self-defense, jiu-jitsu,
For
or wrestling?
kids, I'm
if-
saying.
I would say wrestling 1, boxing 2, Western boxing 2, and then jiu-jitsu 3. Muay Thai I would throw in there somewhere in there. But for a kid, wrestling, because they learn physicality and like it's simplified, right? So, and they're just, because you can see you can almost see a 7-year-old if they've wrestled they've already
Yeah.
got the swag.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Like you can see if they lower levels on a kid that has never wrestled, the kids are getting taken
Not
down.
even fair.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
So and they just learn how they start getting that, I call it swag, right?
They do.
Like here,
Faster than jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I would disagree, though. I think that when you start learning jiu-jitsu, maybe because I'm a little bit more partial to judo, but I think that my opinion would be jiu-jitsu because to really excel at jiu-jitsu and grappling, you have to have a good understanding and knowledge and of defense.
Yeah.
And defense creates the best offense. So my preference would be like jiu-jitsu, but you probably would pick up the takedowns faster than you would pick up the defense of jiu-jitsu.
sure.
And the
takes more time.
Yeah, wrestling too. Like I noticed the scrambling, and they are like the younger ones. Now, not the older ones. Now, older. If you're a certain age, I would say no wrestling. I'd say you start jiu-jitsu and take it easy.
Yeah, sit on your butt and just defend.
I agree. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
learn how to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But for the young ones, like their ability to not want their back to touch the mat and how they scramble,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Once they really, once they get in there, it's like, oof, it's hard to keep them down.
Well, and paint like that. If we're talking, like self-defense or like put it in the classroom, put it on the school campus.
Yeah.
Say a kid gets taken down and they land in his guard. Unfortunately, now that fight's probably going to get broken up before he can even work anything from the guard. Like parents, teachers, and things are going to get involved, right? And all that knows, the kid who took him down didn't learn any real lesson, so or vice versa. So now you're playing from bottom, and you can't really get a whole lot of work going because you need a pretty competent guard to make something happen in 20 seconds or 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like you need a very good guard, and so
Well, not against somebody who doesn't know anything.
it's a kid
Untrained.
wrestler.
Oh, wrestler,
Yeah,
yeah,
kid
that'd be a little
wrestler.
different.
And so I think just like you talk, there's some. If you've never been picked up off the ground, the first time it happens, you're like,
Yeah.
yep. That's me. That's me. Rethinking my
but
life.
also, to your point, there's also certain things that are, scenario based for even like we talk about law enforcement, but for kids on a playground. Let's say somebody comes up from behind, they sneak in, they grab you by the neck. That's different than wrestling, right? Or
Yeah.
bear hug
Certainly,
from behind,
certainly. Yeah,
or
I agree.
under the arms, or I think that type of training is comboed with wrestling. You know what I mean? 'Cause
course, of
there are
course.
going to be some weird things that happen on the playground that isn't like, hey, you ready to go?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
square. We're not square. We're not
yeah.
square.
Yeah, and again, an example of that. One of my students' kids was at a local school, and the kid kept messing with him. But it was more wrestling based, but with a little jujitsu.
Sure.
So he's been training for like 3 years, and he's 11 now. But it happened last year. So the kid was messing with him, and he reached to grab him, and I'm not going to say the name, but he arm drags him, and he gets the shoulders and pops the knee back, so he falls back, and then he put a seatbelt on him and dragged him to the playground. And he kept going, stop messing with me. He didn't punch him, but he just, he was scared. He's still using his jiu-jitsu, but he was scared. Stop messing with me. The teacher comes out. They both get suspended.
Well, of course. Yeah, I mean that's
And
not
then-
surprising at all.
Yeah, and then the parent got a note from the administrator that said, keep that stuff in the dojo. And I'm like,
Oh no.
There was not one punch thrown.
I'm walking into the to the superintendent. This was Monroe District. Well, it had to have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
Crazy. That is it's a disgrace.
Yeah,
how the school
I
district
said, have
handled
that
it.
individual come to watch a class.
does
Don't judge until you see it.
That's a disgrace.
Does
Yeah.
wrestling shoes and on the mat? I'm curious to know. You guys said you share spaces, 2 separate spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys ever cross over? And I'm just curious, how do you handle if they're going back and forth or anything like that? Shoes on the mat and the hygiene
They're
portion.
When we walked in, I noticed how your place is super clean.
Yeah.
It's clean. So shoes off, shoe no. Yeah, we hammer the. I kind of have that talk all the time, from nails to clean gis to shoes off, shoes on, shoes in the bathroom. Buy your flip flops. I don't have any Monroe Jiu-Jitsu flip flops yet, but that could be coming down the pipeline.
Right. We were at a tournament last year, and we shared half the venue was for jiu-jitsu, half the venue was for wrestling, and I'm not exaggerating that they were going. Not only were they going on and off the mat with the wrestling shoes, but they were walking into the bathrooms, were closer to the wrestling portion of it, and they were walking in the bathroom with the shoes. Water was puddling everywhere, and they were walking out, walking right back on the mat. It was the most filthiest scenes I've ever seen in my life.
With shoes, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a anyone in the area knows I'm not gonna.
And kids were walking barefoot.
But here's the crazy thing, the room could have been split in half, and it was like a true yin and yang. Literally, you had on the one half, you had all of the wrestling mat. There's a wrestling meet going on, and the parents like camped out, dog, because you know how it is. Like a jiu-jitsu tournament, get one match, maybe two, and which. I mean, we could discuss maybe later about how they should get more matches for a tournament, but those kids were signed up for the day. Like it was a meet, and I don't know. I have no idea how many like matches will a kid have in a wrestling meet?
5 to 6.
5 to 6,
yeah,
right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
The parents, and that's an ongoing thing.
Right.
That's an awesome.
Yeah, they're getting how many experiences in a season? They're getting like 50, 40.
And that specific tournament is they're mimicking that. That's their whole thing is Madison bracketing, round robin. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't matter. Like you got 4 or 5 people in your bracket, you're getting 4 or 5 matches. If you lose them all, you lose them all. If you win, you win. But like there is no single elimination. I understand why they do it to keep the things moving, but like one match, you're not going to do a lot. But that would to paint the room. The wrestling side, parents were They had literally like camper chairs, coolers, like beered out, snacked out. Like they were prepared. They had like carts. Like it was like tailgating.
Yeah.
And then they was just screaming, and to that point, you could just tell a large portion of the parents wrestled. Yeah. Like the fathers specifically, like wrestled, and they were like, and the jiu-jitsu side, I'm gonna guess most of the parents didn't. They do any form of grappling, right?
That's true.
And the whole other side, like you have this really intense, loud, rowdy half of the room, no barrier, by the way, and the other half was like freaking Woodstock's a bad example, but they were just like much calmer, a little bit more zen. And I think for the combat sport aspect, I'm not gonna say go the full end. There needs to be a level of aggression, which I didn't even start to get. We were talking about Nate before a show. Mm-hmm. I underestimate how aggressive he is every time we match up. Like, because he's like nice. Like, he's like super nice. We're like, hey, what's up, Nate? Not much, man. And then slap bump. And I'm getting freaking in the gi. And like mistake number 1 was go against him in the gi. But like I'm getting snapped down. And I'm like, this guy, like, I thought we were friends, dog. Like, so that aggression, I think, it needs to be there. You can turn it on and off, but it needs to be there in combat.
You know what we do with the kids sometimes is I'll do a speed chest, so I'll do 10-second rounds, and they have to get
I love that. Bruno
10-second round, just go.
Yeah.
Like you have to do it, and so it makes them engage.
I love that. Bruno did, I think, 30 seconds, but yeah. He'd play with it. He'll do 9-minute rounds and then 30-second rounds sometimes. So
and for the kids, they're like, because they don't know what I'm going to say. Sometimes I'll go 12 seconds. And they're like, what do you say? I say 12 seconds.
That's funny.
And then I was like, right.
What do I do? What do I do?
And I said, and I said, you can't go backwards.
That's awesome.
There's no like this. It's like you're going forward. So they gotta do something. They gotta shoot. They gotta do something. They gotta grab. They gotta snap. So that kind of helps the kids engage. It's fun.
So we answered a large portion of the questions that we have. What's next for you guys, though? I'm seeing you. I guess I didn't realize you were as old as 2017. So you've been around longer, obviously, than we have at Metro. I feel like I just started. Did you just start promoting tournaments maybe since 2020? Because I feel like I didn't see Monroe Jiu-Jitsu badges as much, and then now like you guys are pretty much a staple at just about any tournament that we see.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. Let's say I would say only about 15% shoes do 2 tournaments.
That's about right.
You know, it's about 10 to 15%. We talk about it a lot. I mean, I try, you know, I can't, my background with Soneca and then Luis is self-defense slash, of course, competition's part of it.
Sure.
But, you know, we're focused on the playground stuff. We're focused on walking in a back alley, somebody grabs you by the hair. I mean, we're never going to go away from that. So I encourage competition because I think it's awesome. I think I love it. You know, I just got back from World Masters. I'm never going to stop. Hopefully I'm in Masters 7. I'm 86. And I'll be out there smacking hands.
God willing.
But, you know, but I think it's... But if somebody doesn't want to, I don't want them to get discouraged from jiu-jitsu just because they don't want to. They don't want to compete. Yeah. We do a lot of super duels, like with Tyler Beckley at Finley or Second Nature. We'll do dual meets. We'll do a lot of times. I'll stop the class in the middle class and I'll say,
"He's also a handful.
Let's go." I'll say you versus you, and you're sitting there like, "What?"
What? So like just a comp style match at the end.
Yeah,
at the end?
But in front of everybody. So I'll circle the mat up, and they don't know who I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so they're paying attention.
Yeah.
And then a lot of, they're sitting the right way. So I'll say, slide forward twice. And they'll slide forward, with their hand up. And then they'll slide back. And then I'll say, okay, you too, in the middle. And then I'll have a kid be the unofficial ref. So they have to get out there and make sure they shake hands. Smack, and so
Yeah, David likes to do that.
What's the super duel between... Because we do comp matches that because you'd be surprised just how nervous they get competing in front of their peers.
Yeah.
Like people circling
Yeah.
around. What is it you do across schools, like with Tyler and them? Like,
so we started that during 2020. So there was nothing. So it's like once
we didn't talk about it. Though.
Yeah, exactly. But after everything was good, whenever that was.
Yeah, sure.
We got to get some competition. You want to do a dual meet, and then I got a hold of Dion. He's close, so he sent me a list, and then I looked at my list, and we just did matchups, and we chose. One day we did one time we did it at Braza, one time we did it at Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, then we did one at Finley. Second Nature got involved. A couple other schools that had some people that just wanted to jump in and only had a few people, just to give people opportunity to compete. Honestly, I think that. Some people disagree with me, but I think when it's intense, when it's only you and your peers are watching it and it's a circle around you, I feel like that's pretty intense.
Really?
Very, very. It's equal. I could see it would be 100% equivalent to that. Right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say, by the way, you ever want to dual meet, like Metro's down, but like, let's just say we get together and it's my squad's there and you bring out Nate. Again, and I'm way more nervous than any tournament I've ever been at because there might be like two of my teammates watching, versus the whole squad.
Whole school.
The whole dude.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
What
crazy.
rule set do you follow when you do that?
IBJJF.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Or sometimes we'll do sub only.
That is so
We'll just
nerve-wracking.
mix it up, right? We'll just depending on what we want to do. It's just more for people to get out there and smack hands and just have that feeling.
Do you find more people are with your overall student base, more would be likely to do that than actually jump into a tournament?
100%.
Well, it's
Cost effective.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I could see that, and then you could. So maybe like maybe that's a way because we did a scrimmage similar, right? We call it a scrimmage with Palm and them, and we also did it with Craig Funk and Freedom, and like that was just you set it up, cost effective, and there's really like maybe they do that and they're like, oh, because we have no medals for them,
right?
That right, but they're like, well, I might do a tournament.
That's what I think.
So
I think it gives them the taste.
Yeah.
And then if they like it, you might get 4 more competitors out of it. But then again, you look at the IBJJF again. I went to Vegas. I spent the money. I did what I did, and some people don't want to spend that much money. Because if a family of 4,
I remember he made a post. You're like, how much would it be for a family? There's like $560 or something,
or more if you let's say you did a local regional and you did Saturday, Sunday, gi no gi. You did a family of 4.
Yeah.
You have to sign up for the memberships. Then you have to do the registrations for both. It was heading toward a
grand.
grand.
Because it was that their memberships. Yeah. So it's like $860 or something.
Yeah, $860.
Yeah.
But see, that's where it's like, I don't know. Some people just they can't do it.
Yeah.
So at least give them a little taste of it.
Yeah.
And and it could be the first time they ever do it because you can tell the nerves. It's
dude,
I love it.
It's so well, and that is to the point of the benefit of it is performing under that pressure. Like that the ability to perform under said pressure. I mean, how that translate. how much does that translate to any other area, whether you're going to apply for college or a job interview or board, whatever? Like it is,
And it's good experience because like the tournament and everything around there is just a distraction.
Yeah.
It's how much can you focus on what you've been practicing?
And it's different, man, because I Worlds this year, I went against Rogério Lesh, the guy from Brazil. In the grits. I've been going at it for a long time, but it's just different.
Yeah.
Like at the end of that 5 minutes, I'm like, oh baby, and then you walk over and you're like trying to get them back, and they're like, Todd Williams back again. I'm like, oh, I just got over here.
Get that massage.
How did you do that?
Man.
I third. I finished third.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, congrats.
It was, it's Master 6. I mean, when I was running, when I was younger, I used to look at like older master runners. When I was 25, I'd look at these older guys running and stuff. I go, there's no way. But now that I'm older, I love it.
Yeah.
I just did a relay at the Detroit Marathon on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So I was part of the relay. But I get it now that I'm older because I never want, for me personally, I just don't want to, I don't want that day to come where that's it.
You don't want to be complacent.
Well, just the feeling.
Yeah.
I like the feeling.
Yeah.
And there's, I don't want that day to come where that door shuts and I'm never going to get that like preparation feeling to get ready.
Yeah.
Walking through the tournament door, the forearms that feel like somebody hit me with hammers. Mm-hmm. I want to try to keep that going.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and it gives you the preparation, like you said. Like if I know I've got like a tournament, any type of a tournament match in the next 2 months, like it
changes your life.
affects my thinking.
Changes your life.
It 100%.
That's what we say on Tuesdays like, when the old crew gets together. It's the tournament could be next August, right? It could be because there's not that many older people that do tournaments, so it's like you got to go to one or two. That there might be three, and so we're sitting there as the old boys, and we're like, this is what it's all about. Us just in this room, and it's steamy, and we're beating the hell out of we're just beating each other up, and we're getting ready for a tournament in March. But I think it's that journey that changes. Your diet changes, your conditioning changes. You try to stretch more. You try to get a little bit extra rest. Mm-hmm. It's that whole process. It's
what
fun.
are you doing to get ready? Are you going to Master Worlds December?
That'd be no gi, right?
No gi world.
No,
yeah.
no, I'm a gi.
Okay.
We're straight gi. I changed Monroe Jiu-Jitsu world. It's only gi.
Oh, you guys don't do any no gi?
No gi. No. Unless they take it off at open mat. If they want. Wow. But I decided, was it last year? I just said we're only a gi school.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I love the gi.
Yeah,
I lobbied to have this location be the no gi one, and the other, and it did not pass.
Yeah, I mean, some of the younger, it really wasn't that much. Like some, my younger students were like, "What?" I'm like, "You can do it. Just take open match. You can do it, or when you're rolling afterward, just try to be disciplined and not grab anything, and see if you can do that. Stay disciplined. Yeah. But I just
self-defense in wintertime, in summer. Very different.
Yeah.
Those grips and knowledge definitely come in handy.
Yeah, and the old argument, this old argument of like, gi, no gi, gi, no gi. Do what you want to do. It's your life.
Yeah.
If you want to do gi, do gi. If you want to do no gi, you want to do both, just have fun.
A gi player will do just fine in a self-defense scenario. A no gi player will do just fine.
You know what I heard the other day is that some organizations will give somebody a blue belt in gi and no gi and white belt in gi.
That's outlandish.
Or vice versa, whatever.
If there's that large of a disparity between your jiu-jitsu, you are the lower belt.
Yeah.
Like
and when
reality.
they register in tournaments, somebody was telling us at the gym the other day, when they register in tournaments, they have one rank in gi, another rank in no gi, and have you heard that before?
That's silly.
Yeah. I mean, and then the discussions on with who's this guy that recently
money.
This whole thing with promotions of people and
who cares? Like, why do I care? Like, if you let's just say, right, if you get a black belt in 3.5 years, I didn't give it to you, and I'm not wearing the black belt, so why do I care? Why do I care?
My thing was on that. Nobody's ever mentioned where was the celebration for his blue, purple, and brown.
Yeah.
Where nobody's talking about that. Like where's?
Well, it was all privates.
No, but I mean, they never talked about his blue, purple, or brown.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't he have Shouldn't he have?
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah,
There's not
very-
one
yeah.
person. I mentioned it on. I was shaking. Usually I don't comment, but I was shaking yesterday, and I had to say, why isn't somebody mentioning his blue, purple, or brown?
Yeah, because you cannot skip any belt other than white to blue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I am curious how it got attention. Every time I see, like, I'll tell you what though, I can't believe we're still talking about it. Like,
Yeah, it's
people
true.
are
We're making
people
it relevant,
people
yeah.
are so consumed. I'm like, he's clearly has no intention of competing. Has no intention of competing.
And he said it's about self-defense.
Yeah, and he said it's about like, so who cares? Who cares?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Right.
Like, let's say on the one side, let's say guys sold out and gave away a quote unquote fake black belt. Okay, who cares?
250,000 supposedly.
Yeah.
Like he was getting 5,000 an hour.
Okay, all right. So who cares,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And let's say if it's legit, it's legit. But
Right.
like it comes back to like it doesn't affect me.
Right.
Like he's not wearing a black belt that I gave him, and then like I'm not the one wearing the black belt coming under scrutiny. And
I think what it is, I think if you went through the grind of getting your ears smashed in, your teeth knocked out, broken ribs, cracked eyes, going through the grind to get, I think that's the issue people have. Like
Yeah.
they want him to have to like, to me, you want people to feel that because you had to go through that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
Yeah,
the issue is.
I do understand, right? And they're like, well, this is jiu-jitsu's on its way to taekwondo. It's going to be soft. I can't control what other people do.
Yeah,
I can't control how we talked
Right.
about how they promote, right?
Right.
I can't control how other people promote. I will an added benefit of competition is it's kind of a litmus test, right?
Yeah.
Like if you guys go out there and you got some blues and they all like just get outside tripped, knee on bellied, and like cross choked. Well, yeah, that's a hole in our game. We need
Right.
that. Like it happens 4 or 5 times in a row. Like that's a hole. We need that. It's honest, right?
Yeah. Well, then you have the schools that hold back strictly for competition.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean? So
all.
it's like-
I know that too well,
Yeah.
dude. I just,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get. It's one of my old teammates. I swear to you, he was a blue belt since Metro opened, like for 7 years. I swear to you,
Yeah.
like so he was a blue belt when we opened, and I think he just got his purple, dude. Like maybe, like, and I'm like and he was winning.
You're right.
He was every time
But
he'd get cold.
But to your,
every
but
time.
like, to your point though, all you guys can do is put your blinders on.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys do you do the best you can
Yeah.
do. What's your gold medal,
Yeah,
right?
of
Back to the
course.
whole beginning of
Yeah.
this talk. And you not let that nonsense, whatever it is, you just don't let it take away from your great day.
Yeah.
Because today's the day.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And it is hard though with social media. It's so hard
It's
not
so
to get
easy,
like
yeah.
this, junk in your head to pull you away from what the focus is for that 15 hours, 14 hours that you're going to be doing something positive. And it is hard to do.
It's a pretty big. I will say it's a big. I've got a social media blocker on my phone. Like you can like block it out. Like it won't let me use social media for the hours that I allocate. First, I was like, well, we'll see. It's a pretty big difference, man. When you go to like you don't even realize the habit of opening up and just go, let me check Facebook, whatever. And it's like, no, you can't. You got 3.5 hours left. Like
My
in which you
kids
got
this thing that we put on the refrigerator. They walk by it, they scan it. It disables all social media, and
on the
on their
household
phones.
on
Wow.
Yeah, and so you scan
It's
it.
like a QR code.
It's like a QR code, but it's something like that. It's more like a AirTag or something. So they just scan it on their phone or they wave it. It disables everything, and then there's
until
like
you re-engage it.
yeah, there's like a 2 or 3 step process that they have to go through to say, okay, disable the app. Yeah.
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 I think that should be almost mandatory
Well,
to make people more effective with their life.
more effective, and there's just minors having social media.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing too. Like we have you can some of these content creators that have made it big. Like we have, there's one in Monroe that one of my students' brothers, Carter PC. If you look him up, he has 6 million followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah, Carter PC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy
and he
cow.
just graduated high school, goes to LA, super successful.
Wow.
So when some of these kids that go to school with Carter PC look at Carter, I want to do that, right? But it's almost like I said, it goes back to like the wall, right? There's 6 people in the history. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to discourage the high level goal because you want
Yeah.
everybody to try to go for it.
Right.
But then you also want to kind of be like, I don't know if realist, because I made it to the Olympics, so I never want somebody to go, well, you did it. So back to the content creation is like, do you want to just pull that from somebody that goes, I want to be on here all the time because I think I can be the next Carter PC. That's the slippery slope.
Yeah, and it's and like the going to the Olympics or high level athletes, if it's about drive and passion, it's a good goal. It doesn't matter if you're a content creator or you're an athlete, but if you're doing it for that reason, then yes, do it and don't give up till you get there. But if you're doing it because, oh look, he did it, so I could do it too and make money, it's not that easy.
It's not. No.
Well,
Some people have luck. Hard work. Some people have both.
I don't think there's any luck involved in it anymore. Like maybe earlier on, maybe early days of TikTok, like you could just accidentally, but now it's like you gotta, like there's work involved. There's work and intention involved.
Yeah,
and
talent.
and talent. Yeah, and talent of being. It's
editing,
entertainment.
Editing, presentation, some of the stuff that is out there, they know what they're doing. I mean. And anything, it comes back to anything you choose to do. When I first opened in Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, there's a lot of people going, there's 18,000 people there, and that building's been
What are
vacant
you
since
doing
64.
open here?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Toledo market, there's a lot, you have, it's already gone.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
north and south.
Yeah, but I'm like, I love it. And I'm gonna work. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna sweat. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna do it. But if I would have went in like, and not do that, because I didn't, in my head when it opened, there was no chance that it wasn't going to make it.
And you can't do it. Making it doesn't mean making money. Making it means you're doing it and you're getting fulfillment and joy out of it.
Yeah.
And that's not why we opened. We opened because, like, we love this, and I would do it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's yeah. I mean, that's just like my running. Going back to like the story is like when I finished up at University of Tennessee, I had a chance to run professionally. Everybody's, oh, you made some money. I'm like, yeah, my first contract ever was for $8,000 a year. But it had incentives in that contract. So the contract said, if you can win the national title, if you can be ranked number 1 in the United States, if you can make the Olympic team, then it bumps to 100, then it bumps to 150, then it bumps to $250,000. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start at 8.
That's sick.
But guess what's going to happen? I'm going to live above this little pizza joint, which I did. It was like, I wish it's gone. The building's gone now in Knoxville, but like, my whole life was like, I'm going to show you.
Imagine if he was.
It comes back to my dad going, kid, know how fast. Or I'm like, I'm going to show you that. Because they gave a kid a bigger, Adidas gave me that smaller contract, and they gave a kid from Montana State. Nike gave the bigger contract that year to a kid from Montana State. So that was the kid know how is faster moment.
Yeah.
And I had to make the decision, like, every single second is going to be based on making the Olympic team.
How many times did you face that kid in your career leading up?
After he got that contract,
and you did,
he never beat me again either. Yeah, his name was Shannon Butler from Montana State, and if he's listening, I like Shannon, but he helped me get better.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I appreciate you coming out and driving up. I know it's a little bit of a drive, but I appreciate you making the time. Obviously, the link is in the comment, guys, in our caption to Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. Right downtown. Every time I go to Monroe, it's the city's changed a little bit. Like it's very I don't want to say appealing as if it wasn't, but it's changed. There's a lot of cool things.
A lot of they got
downtown,
they're adding a lot of things for health and fitness with the new trails.
Yeah.
Some of the restaurants are. I wish they would stop some of the restaurants that are going in, but
sure.
it's expand. I just love my hometown. That's the reason. All I do is I try to talk about the positive sides when some of these negative people say Monroe blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't worry about the blah blah blah. Let's do something good.
Yeah.
Wake up and
drive
do something.
through the historic district, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's great parts of it. You know? Like we still go down. We go to Public House down there. Like big great
beer and wine. I mean, there's a lot. Public House, beer and wine porter. There's a lot of cool things that you can do. A lot of cool events in the summer with the music festivals.
Yeah.
So there's good. Anybody can find negative. I always find the good stuff in Monroe.
Yeah.
And so if you guys are ever in Monroe, now that you know it's across from the theater,
Yeah,
you
I
guys can come
know.
visit.
I could have. I was just. It's always. I'm like. I feel like I could just glance down, and I'll see the sign. But But that makes sense. So I appreciate you guys. Feel free to check them out in Monroe, Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. I can't speak enough about their program, and also that it's partnered or collaborated with Black Swan.
Black Swan.
Man, kids, get the kids in it. Like, 'cause that is that's just stellar. for them. A great opportunity for them. So appreciate you guys. A couple things we do have on our end as far as Metro. We've got our what's coined as Boo-Jitsu coming up, which is next week. It's jiu-jitsu class in Halloween costume, and then. Obviously, if you're watching this wherever it's at, whether Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, like, follow, comment. If you have any questions, we'll see about tagging and collaborating with Todd on these, and we'll get those answered in the future. Thanks again for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Todd.
Thanks.